So I work at Aave, and you might recognize Aave from the DeFi protocol, but actually for about last year or so, we've been working on this new decentralized social media thing called Lens. And Lens launched on mainnet about a week ago, and yeah, I'd like to talk to you about it. And I don't want to make this too boring. It doesn't have too much design because it is a protocol and the applications are just coming. There's a few visual things. I'd like to show you sort of the basics of how it works, and then give you something that is sort of useful to you. So for you as creators or developers, some ideas on what you can build or how you can use this for yourself. Cool. So yeah, so seeing the social media through Lens. So the Lens protocol effectively is sort of, like I said, an underlying protocol built on top of Ethereum, obviously. We're on Polygon right now, so I think doing something like this probably wouldn't have been possible until recently, until we had these fast and cheap enough layer 2s, because we actually want to keep a lot of this stuff on chain, and I'll talk to you about why in a little bit. So there's a lot of buzzwords, decentralized social media using NFTs. So it sort of sounds like an episode of Silicon Valley, but I assure you, there's more to it than might sound like from the outset. So why do we care about decentralized open source social media? Why is it interesting? Why is it important? What are the benefits for the users? What can we build on top of something like this? So first of all, I'd say there's one big difference is compared to like Twitter or Instagram or any kind of existing Web2 social media is more aligned incentives, I think, between the users and the platform, which we've seen across the whole Web3, obviously, that the users are owners of the platform. This is typically all open source. There's no, of course, on top of Lens, you can build whatever you want, but we don't foresee there being too much ad revenue type business models where the users are the product and the value kind of gets extracted away from them. It's more sort of level playing field where the users are participants in the network and owners in the network and co-creators in the network. So I think the alliances are much more, the incentives are much more aligned, and I think it's going to be better for everybody in the long end. Another big difference, I think, is there's been a lot of chatter, only recently actually, since Elon Musk started this kind of shitposting on Twitter. He's brought out some really good points about these sort of black box algorithms that decide on how the posts get kind of prioritized, what gets shown to the users. We're sort of so accustomed to this just working that we don't really question it, or we haven't even really been asking for, like, hold on, like, can we have a say in how this works, or at least like see how this works? So I think this is one big thing. I think having a decentralized open source social media is that we can sort of let the users have way more control over what kind of content they want to see, how they want that to be prioritized, how you want your feed to be constructed, basically. So I think we foresee this sort of machine learning models being open source, the user being able to, even non-technical users being able to maybe just pick from a drop-down of what kind of model you like to use, or maybe it runs on different servers that other people can provide, or maybe even on your local device. So I think this is one big thing. Another big thing is obviously the composability that comes with Web3 and the moats that the Web2 platforms have, social media platforms have previously had, where it's very difficult to kind of kickstart something new, because it depends so much on network effects. Like if your friends are not there, you're not going to use it. So I think if we can overcome this and make a base platform where the social graph is shared, so anybody can tap into that, you can build a new app just by creating some front-end stuff and then tapping into the same social graph that exists out there already. So that becomes more of a public goods social graph. Then there's no moats, because when you create a new front end, all your friends who are already on the social graph are automatically there. So it just becomes more of a sort of competition and collaboration on the user experience across these things, across these different apps. And then, yeah, I don't know how important this is. It hasn't happened to me, but it can happen to anyone, this kind of deplatforming where ultimately, I don't think these actors are malicious by intent. I don't think YouTube or Facebook or Twitter are necessarily bad actors, but just having this level of power where you can get rug pulled and you can lose your followers overnight without you really knowing what happened is generally not a good thing. So with something like Lens protocol, since your following relationships are all on chain, sort of shared by everyone, you can take them with you. That you have no risks of being deplatformed. You can always go somewhere else on another front end. So yeah, I mentioned NFTs in the name of the talk. So what does this have to do with NFTs? How are NFTs used in this protocol? So it's actually really kind of core how we built this around NFTs. So there's I want to explain this a little bit technical, but I want to explain a few basic primitives what we use NFTs for. So NFTs can be obviously much more than just just digital art or any kind of representation or ownership. But I think in our case we use them for the profile. So really the whole your own profile and the whole graph is based on NFT. So when you create a profile, when you mint a profile, it's actually an NFT that has the metadata that you want to expose. And then when people follow your NFT, we mint something called a follower NFT. So if I followed anybody in the audience, I mint a follower NFT, and now I've kind of got your follower NFT, and then this relationship exists on chain, and nobody can take it away. And these are just like any other NFT, so you can trade them freely. You can sell them on OpenSea. You can do whatever you want with them. You can do with normal NFTs, and you can also do things like token gating. For instance, we have on this follow NFTs. There's different type of modules that we built ourselves, and the whole system is very modular. You can build many new kinds of modules. But for instance, you can charge for a follow NFT. You can set like some kind of a payment that if you want to follow me, if you want to mint this follow NFT, you have to pay X amount. And there's instant secondary markets for this stuff. You can do token gating. So we've been thinking of using Lit protocol for effectively private posts. For instance, that you need to get the full NFT first before you can see the decrypted content of the poster. And the collect NFTs, last one was when everything essentially that you post can be collected as an NFT. So it becomes a very easy sort of minting platform for any type of creator, where you can just, whether it's music or art or text or anything, video, you post something and you can set the parameters around this. So you can say, like, if somebody wants to collect this post, like to read it is free, you can always read this post, but if somebody wants to if you post something special, like let's say I post, it could be like a new album, or it could be like just a song that I just started writing that could have some value in the future. If it becomes huge or something like this, you can set the parameters that people can buy this for X amount, this limited edition, all the normal kind of metadata you could do when you're minting NFTs normally. And then it's sort of, like a very easy minting platform. You can use token gating for this thing. So you can say, if you buy this NFT, you get access to my behind the scenes footage or NFT ticketing or whatever it may be. Whatever you want to do, really. So it's sort of an interesting way, because the social conversation then becomes intertwined with the NFT minting or creation, and we haven't really had this in the past. So there's a lot of minting platforms, there's some social platforms, but I think having those two together creates a very interesting kind of ecosystem for creators to have direct relationships with people, with communities and fans, and effectively monetize their content in a very direct way, I think. So just a couple of screenshots to make it real. So these are, like I said, real NFTs. So your profile NFT actually exists. You can once you've minted it, you can go on OpenSea and look at it, sell it, what you want to do. Similarly, with follow NFTs, we actually use a HTML NFT, which is a dynamic, so it always shows your latest post. It's pretty cool. So you can go on OpenSea or any other NFT platform, and you can actually see look at somebody's follow NFT, and you can see what their last post is, and it refreshes automatically. And then these collected posts, like I said, it could be a full screen image, it could be some text, it could be video, audio, just like any other minting platform. So yeah, like I said, these just work with any other fully composable, just any other NFTs work with anything else you'd want to do. Like I think token gating for me is the one big thing, I think, where you can really add value to a lot of, as a creator, you can imagine where this can go with, yeah, like this. These days people use it for token gating a Discord chat or something, but there's so much more you can do, I think, with token gating to give the content that you create value and link it to other digital properties is probably the easiest thing, but you can really token gate anything with NFTs. So I think what we hope to see emerge out of this is sort of a shift away from this more kind of ad-driven social networks with the users as the product to more towards something where it's a network of like a almost peer-to-peer value transfer between different people, creators, fans, people generally, with the users in control. And yeah, so what can you build on it? So this is just a protocol, smart contracts. We have pretty good documentation for developers, I think, and so far we've heard that it's pretty easy to build on this thing, but in terms of some ideas what to build, there's a site you should go check out. So ideas.lens.xyz that we worked with We3, this sort of Web3 native digital agency, to come up with some ideas that you could build, basically. And we have grants as well. So yeah, going back to what I was saying earlier, I'd like people to get something out of this talk that is useful for them. Like if you're a developer, if you're a creator, I think this would be a great place for you to have a better relationship with the audience. If you're a developer, we have grants on different kinds of things that we'd like to see, and you can come with your own ideas, apply for grants to build something on top of the protocol. So yeah, go check out this. Lots of different ideas, from music to governance to gaming to, yeah, all sorts of things. Some examples, I still like to show something, make it a bit more real. What does it look like? So we've been live for a week, like I said. We've been live on testnet a little bit before that. There's this young guy from South India, I think, called Yogenth, that put something together very quickly that is effectively looks and feels like sort of a mix of Facebook and Twitter, and it's super impressive how fast he's put it together. You can use this now, so it works. There is a waiting list sort of for these profiles. We wanted to keep the initial user base sort of restricted by intent so that we don't get overrun with bots, like sort of build a healthy network by example first and then start opening up slowly. So if you don't have a Lens profile yet, you may have to wait a little bit, but we're going to open it up pretty soon. So yeah, you can use this today, and it just works. And it was pretty easy to put together, mostly with sort of normal Web2 front-end developer skills. So almost anybody can put these things, like if you have developer experience, you can put a new social network together and don't have to worry about where I'm going to get my users from. How does it, do I need to build a backend for this as well? No, you really don't. Yeah, another screenshot of the Explore page. So yeah, I think the initial sort of manifestations, I think, will be fairly similar to existing social networks, with the difference of what I was saying before, the ownership and some extra features. But I think as this goes on, I can imagine like lots of different new types of social experiences emerging as well. Then another example that we put together in about a week or two with Wasim in the audience there is a developer working with us called Lens Friends, where it's sort of this Linktree type thing, where it's sort of like your Web3 Linktree, basically, where you can have your profile, add your links to different Web3 or Web2 platforms, and then explore other profiles. But yeah, all these things are mostly just front-end code and very quick to write. So yeah, really encourage you to hack on this. We have more front-end clients coming, including one by us. So hopefully we'll be able to have more polished and richer experiences in the near future. We'll be announcing some soon, but yeah, there's already multiple developer teams building on this stuff. So it's been very exciting to see how quickly people are being able to jump on this. So in terms of adoption, how's it going? It's a week old, so this is a screenshot from June dashboard. So we have about 10,000 profiles minted now. I think the whitelist was, I think, 25,000 or so. So a lot of people have already minted it, and we'll be opening this up for more and more people over the next weeks. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So check out lens.xyz for more info, and hopefully see you on one of these platforms soon. So if there's any questions or any ideas or any kind of thoughts, yeah, let's go.
Over here?
Sure. There's one here, yep.
Hey, so we're all familiar with scams in crypto. Have you thought about how you might defend against someone's profile NFT getting scammed and then they don't have the ability to even tweet out that they've been scammed because they don't really have a connection to that anymore?
You mean if your profile NFT gets stolen?
Correct.
Yeah, that's tricky. It's like there's no recourse because there's no centralized party that you can say like somebody stole it, can I have it back, please? So it's same like if your crypto assets are stolen, it's sort of gone. So I don't think there's an easy answer to that. Maybe somebody could build a module where some kind of recovery module, social recovery module where you had sort of a, I don't know, like a multisig, or like your friends, if they attest that, you know, that was actually stolen, you could get it back. Maybe that way. But I don't think there's any easy answer to.
You know, we're trained and hopefully should be trained to use hardware wallets for a lot of our stuff. And even if it is on Polygon, you know, if you grow a profile NFT that's large, it's going to be valuable. So I envision being on this platform and, you know, wanting to follow people, mint their follower NFTs and all of these things. And I envision a lot of clicking on my ledger.
Yeah.
Would that basically be the experience you're expecting?
Yeah, we try to abstract as much of that away as we can. So posting is an on-chain transaction, but we use a dispatcher, and it uses basically meta transactions, so it's gasless, so you don't have to sign anything. But following is one of those things where you do have to sign it. So yeah, I'm not sure hardware wallet's going to be a great solution if you're going to be following a lot of people. There's some kind of UX tricks, and maybe this is something like we'd like to definitely explore more, where we can sort of do this as batch follows. It's almost like a shopping cart type experience that we already have on LensFriends. So you can sort of kind of go click, 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 and once you're done, like your 30 or 40 or whatever follows you want to do, you can do it in one go. So there's some workarounds with UX workarounds around that, but you're right. Cool. No worries. Gentleman over there.
Who would legally be the operator of the platform? Because there's regulations around these platforms to be complied to. Will it be Aave, or will it be the one who develops the front end? How are you going to prevent hate speech? How do you implement chat control and stuff like that?
Yeah, great question. So I think on the kind of front end client that we build ourselves, it would be us. If somebody else builds their own front end, it would be them. So I think the idea that the protocol is decentralized, so we're not responsible for the protocol itself, but anything that happens on the front end, I'm not a lawyer, so probably should have said that first, but that's my understanding, that it is the responsibility of the front end ultimately. Or if you're storing some of the data, like you can, again, it's very modular, so we store data on IPFS by default, but if you're storing something on your S3, then I think you'll be liable for that. Or if you're pinning stuff on IPFS and whatever you're pinning, I think you'd be liable for. I think the hate speech and the spam and the other stuff is super interesting. I think we can see even like Twitter is so struggling with this. So I honestly think that by sort of decentralizing the machine learning models and making them open source and making the machine learning community is like super open source focused. So I'd love to see sort of a crowdsourced solutions for dealing with these problems, which I think if we open this up, will funnily enough, I think we'll have a better opportunity to deal with that than currently with the closed options. No, we haven't solved hate speech. No, sorry.
Based on your platform, surely he's not liable for sticking to European laws when it comes to content control.
Right. So yeah, for our own front end, they'll be reporting anything that I think gets posted through the dispatcher. I think we are, again, no lawyer, but my understanding is somewhat liable for. So there will be a way for us to basically hide things, at least from the front end. But I mean, once something is on the blockchain, it's on the blockchain. So the only thing we can really do is hide it from the front end.
So I have a lighter question.
Sure.
What will be the Lens equivalent verb for a tweet?
It's a great question. I've thought about that.
And will Stani be the interim CEO for Lens, or is he?
It's another good question. Any good puns? Yeah, maybe we'll give out some prizes for the best kind of lens verb pun. But yeah, Stani will be intimacy of our client, but not of Lens, because it'll be a decentralized protocol.
What about privacy? Do you assume that all the social interactions on-chain and open and public is actually a good idea?
Yeah.
Do you have a module, for privacy?
Another really good question. So I think this is super important because obviously once you put stuff on the blockchain, it will stay there for a very long time. So we've been looking at, so I mentioned Lit protocol, and we've been talking to them. So they have this technology where you can effectively encrypt, and only the people who have the followed NFT of somebody can read their posts, for instance. So it's a very super valid use case of keeping your posts private, except for the people you want to see them, your followers, and you have control of that. So I think so this sort of encrypted post that only certain people can decrypt is super important, and yeah, we're looking into it with Lit protocol.
Do you envision that somebody would build, or you have already had in mind, a kind of a simplified downloader of a social graph from the existing like social media platforms?
Oh, sort of like a vampire attack on something. Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely. Like in some of the onboarding experiences we looked at, we'd be sort of offering the users the ability to connect to Twitter, and then if their friends also create an account, then we can sort of suggest these as auto follows. I think yeah, we haven't really thought about like downloading the whole graph or the whole post history or something like that, and then because you need to then sort of you need to post that on the user's behalf to have that as well. I guess it could be done, but yeah, interesting idea. But definitely some sort of easy way for you to recreate your graph from Twitter easily. So yeah, once you start having your friends who are also on Twitter, they just make it very easy to follow them, so you can replicate that graph.
I was wondering if you have any plans to be, as a protocol, chain agnostic. I know you built on Polygon.
Yeah.
My team's building on Hedera Hashgraph, for example. Is there any roadmap for other chains?
I don't think there's like a clear roadmap, but absolutely, I think it makes sense. We've been talking about also like sort of being multi-chain, having our indexer just index these multiple chains, maybe using different chains for different purposes, and then for the end user, it shouldn't really matter. But yeah, we went with Polygon first because it's EVM compatible and yeah, probably the cheapest and fastest right now. But I think definitely, yeah, it could be a roll-up or, I don't know, multiple options that could work, for sure. Yeah.
You talked about token gating and also Lit protocol. Do you want to do something with them about this, or?
Yeah, we've been talking with them. So some of the people in our team know them, and we've been having just Telegram chats. But yeah, I love the idea. I used to work in the music industry a long time, maybe 20 years ago, and it's around the time that Napster kind of happened. And I think there's a lot of excitement around music NFTs. Just using that as an example, but I mean, you could token gate any of these posts or full NFTs, but I just think it gives like the buyers more sort of bang for buck if you can get something extra. It's not just MP3, link to MP3 or link to JPEG. You get something more with your purchase. I think there's a lot of potential. So yeah, very excited about doing that with it.
Thank you. So do you have any ideas or know the cases to avoid the speculations in the initial term in token economy, but still remain the long-term growth in token prices?
Tokens. We haven't really thought of a token yet. Like maybe there will be one in the future, I guess, for people to be able to decide where the protocol goes. But there's no immediate plans for. Did you mean a token for the protocol or something else? Yeah, I think we just want to take our time and sort of prove that it works first, get some traction, and really take our time thinking through the tokenomics well, and not just rush it. And it's not a cash grab. I think it's a long-term project, so we want to take some time. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. Is there any mechanism for deleting or editing posts? Because obviously that's a bit of a problem on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. There's no edit button on Twitter, although Stani, as the interim CEO, wanted to edit. But yeah, I guess it's tricky as with blockchains. If you post something on IPFS, there's really nowhere to edit. I guess we can hide things from the front end for sure. If we could have sort of we've been talking about this for our front end clients, sort of a soft delete where you just hide it from the front end, and nobody can see it on our client, but it's still on chain, so it's tricky. It's hard. Immutability is a tough thing. Cool.
Any other questions? All right, give it up for Jouni Helminen.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.